The Cowboys are ready to kick off the NFL's new league year, and they're doing it with a game of tag. George Pickens, tag, you're it. From the franchise tag to RFA tenders to contract restructures, is Jerry Jones really ready to bust the free agent budget this year? And what about the draft? Things are crystallizing for the Cowboys after last week's combine. It's time for a happy new league year edition of The Blitz, starting now.
Prescott back, set, slams wide open, 50. Pickens one-handed hurdles a man to the 10.
This is Jerry Jones with the Dallas Cowboys, and we just drafted you.
And I knew the guy was going to kind of go low. I'm a tall guy, and the rest is history.
I got the fight of a dog, talk that walk and walk that talk.
The Cowboys got a jump start on free agency where the Pickens got slimmer for other teams when Dallas placed the franchise tag on its Pro Bowl wide receiver, George Pickens. Welcome to the Blitz, and I will say, Happy New Year. It starts on Wednesday, the NFL's new league year. Bill Jones along with Nicole Hutchison. And yes, we are talking franchise tag. We're starting the free agency really on Monday. That's when all the negotiations began. But how great was it that the Cowboys got things started? They have secured, at least for a year, their Pro Bowl wide receiver.
I mean, hey, it's crucial that they were supposed to do that. I mean, this is a kid, not a kid, I keep saying a kid, but a grown man who produced at a very high level, Bill. I mean, for over 1,400 receiving yards, third in the most in the NFL, 9 touchdowns, and he did that mostly in double coverage. And I remember we were talking about it this offseason, last offseason. Coming in, he was a traditional X receiver, able to win vertically, catch the deep ball, but they're now able to move him around, and that opens up a lot of things for Javonte Williams in the run game, a CeeDee Lamb, of course, on the opposite side of him. So it's so important about keeping a guy like Pickens, but I hope they get this long-term deal done.
Yep, and they've got until July 15th to come up with a long-term deal. In the meantime, when he signs the franchise tag tender, it is a $27.298 million tag, and as Todd Archer explained it, it's a non-exclusive franchise tag as opposed to an exclusive one, an average of the top 5 salaries the last 5 years. As opposed to the exclusive, which would be the top 5 of currently the wide receivers in the league. Dak Prescott has experience playing under the tag, so what advice would he give Pickens?
George loves football. That's the one thing about it. I just want him to know, don't change your love for football. Don't get in the business mind of this. You played last year on a 1 year for not even that much, right? So if you can go 30, whatever it is now, thinks it's the same thing I got. So, when I franchise. So, hey, go do it. At the end of the day, bet on yourself. He's a hell of a player. Hopefully we can get him long-term and sign that. But if not, I think the way that he plays the game and the person that he is, he'll be just fine.
This the beginning, though, with you talking about George, or it's a franchise
Absolutely.
tag? Absolutely.
I mean, we're not putting any time frame on this. I mean, the most important thing is live in the present. We think we just love that George is going to be back. Jerry had a great visit with him yesterday. He was fired up that he wasn't going to be going anywhere, and we all understand too. Economically, guys probably would prefer a long-term deal, but the franchise tag, economically is not bad either. But he was very fired up about his future with us. We felt like he wanted to be in Dallas. He certainly said that to Jerry yesterday. Jerry was just said he was on cloud 9 that he was going to be a Cowboy again.
A Cowboy again, at least for one more year. So what else will the Cowboys do in free agency? Will Jerry bust the budget? Next on The Blitz.
The Dallas Cowboys Blitz, presented by Blockchain.com, is brought to you by AT&T. Connecting changes everything. Geico. It feels good to save big. It feels good to Geico. And by Blockchain. Invest like your icons with Blockchain.com. This segment is brought to you by AT&T. Connecting changes everything.
And welcome back to the Blitz. Bill Jones along with Nicole Hutchison. We're getting you teed up for the kickoff of the new league year and free agency. Cowboys had to do some business. Of course, we talked about George Pickens in the first segment, but how about clearing some salary cap space in order to do business? As Adam Schefter pointed out earlier in the week, the restructuring of contracts started with Dak Prescott, continued with C.D. Lamb, Tyler Smith, and some others. So the question posed to Jerry Jones, how active will the Cowboys be in free agency?
Do I see me ending up spending more money than maybe if you put a perfect picture together that the guy that's back there looking at the account would say we don't have any or don't have enough? I could see me being aggressive. I could see us being aggressive in free agency. I'm excited about doing everything we can now to really have a better record than we had last year, a better team than we had last year. That's why we've been doing what we've been doing with the coaching staff. But to answer your question specifically, I would bet that we will spend more money in free agency than we have.
It has been quiet in free agency the last couple of years. We shall see. Obviously, there are needs aplenty, especially on the defensive side of the football. Will they be a significant player this week?
I think that they're positioning themselves right now to be a significant player. Right now, they're 18th in the NFL in salary cap space. Not the best, but before Wednesday, they freed up some cap space. They were dead last in the NFL. So I'd say that's a pretty good sign, but there's so many needs, Bill, like you mentioned, defensive end, because, of course, what Christian Parker wants to do, you need a little bit more faster speed rusher guy who can be outside linebacker. You need some more linebackers. You need a safety. You need a cornerback. I mean, the list goes on about what this team needs. So, yeah, I think they're doing a good job so far compared to years past.
All right, we talk about unrestricted free agents. What about restricted free agents? Guy in the news, Brandon Aubrey, the three-time Pro Bowl place kicker. Yes, the restricted free agent second-round tender for him, but they're working on a long-term deal, and it needs to get done.
Yeah, absolutely. And their big question is, one, is Brandon Aubrey worth $10 million? Well, if I'm GM, I mean, of course I'm going to go ahead and spend that money on a kicker who has made it so much easier for your offense to just get to the 50-yard line. I mean, hell, he can probably kick it from the 40-yard line, excuse me. He has kicks over 60-plus yards. That's the most in the NFL. And there was actually some funny narrative around NFL Combine with his wife, Jen Aubrey. She don't play, Bill, okay? She went back and corrected and denied all claims of whether he was offered that $7.5 million deal. They both, of course, went on Instagram and said, fake news, okay? So, yeah, they're obviously looking to get something done with Brandon Aubrey possibly, but I know he was tenured to a second round, so we'll see what that looks like.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what the final number comes out to. I believe they're going to get a long-term deal done at some point, and he will be the highest paid kicker in NFL history. All right, we're managing the salary cap. Kyle Youmans joins the Blitz in just a moment to break it all down.
This segment was brought to you by AT&T. Connecting changes everything. This segment is brought to you by Reliant, the official energy provider of the Dallas Cowboys.
Welcome back into the Blitz, and as you can see from Fox NFL Football, the NFL salary cap has continued to explode just as the popularity of the league has. League owners and league franchises were given $301.2 million to get under the salary cap in 2026, far above what that number used to be back in the mid-90s. I'm Kyle Youmans here from the Star in Frisco, and you take a look at that piece of pie off here to the side. That's the entire pie, $301.2. But the Cowboys entered the week at $56 million over the cap. So what are some of the ways that they can maneuver that and save some money? Well, there's 4 general ways that they can do that. The first 2 are quite obvious. You can, of course, trade players and you can cut players. These get them off of your roster, but there's ultimately some guaranteed money that they would have to maneuver. So keep that in mind. It's not always the answer. It depends on the contract at hand. Another one is extend players. You can change the contract entirely, and if you extend players, then you can maneuver the money money down the line and continue to kick the can. Speaking of, you can do the same thing when you restructure. So when you restructure a deal, and as you see down here below, you've got the converted base salary and roster bonus and/or roster bonus into a signing bonus. This means that you can prorate that money over the next 5 years or up to a maximum of 5 years. That removes that money off of the current year cap and pushes it down the line a little bit. The Cowboys have been very busy so far with some current restructures, because when you look at what they've done already, Dak Prescott, nearly $42 million saved on the cap in 2026. CeeDee Lamb reported at $17.2 million. And then Tyler Smith, $7.5 million. These are all rough numbers. Of course, it's not entirely public, but this is what it ultimately turns into, is $66 million worth of savings, give or take a couple extra grand. Now, there are a couple other ways that they can add to this list. There's up to 130 possible $1 million of restructures and savings. You don't want to do all of them at different points, because as we just mentioned earlier, you're kicking the can down the line and you're going to have to pay that money against the cap at some point. So Kenny Clark, you can expect maybe an extension or even a cut that leads to an extension. So if you see the news, Kenny Clark cut by the Cowboys, don't freak out. Just pause for a second, and we'll see what happens from there. Osa Odigizua, this would be a restructure and an ability to possibly try and push that down the line as well. So, as we talked about it, they entered the week $56 million over the cap. Well, you can wipe that away. Everything's good. Right now, you're actually $8 million clear at the moment. So great, right? Well, you still have a piece of the pie that has to go into the 301.2. That's your 2026 NFL draft class, $13.7 million. Remember, you have 2 first-round picks, one at 20, one at 12. They are slotted differently in terms of the money that you would ultimately use. So you got to remember, that's going to go into the pie as well. So they have to get more space for this, into this, and have some success this offseason. That's one way to look at it, and guess what? It's going to change by the next week of the Blitz. We'll talk about it as we go along. When we come back, though, Anthony Dorsett is going to break down some of the draft picks that could be in that $13.7 million. We use his expertise to break down the film right after this.
This segment was brought to you by Reliant, the official energy provider of the Dallas Cowboys.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Anthony Dorsett Jr. Played a little time in the NFL for the Tennessee Titans and the Oakland Raiders. My dad also played a little bit, too, for the Dallas Cowboys. He might be a legend. You might have heard of Tony Dorsett. But either way, got an opportunity to break down some film this week for the Cowboys. We're talking about some potential draft picks, maybe. And we decided to start off with defensive backs because I played a little DB in the league. So we're starting off with some corners and some safeties. Now, first corner we're going to start with is a kid by the name of Mansour Delane that is actually out of LSU. Like this kid a lot. Seems like a real natural corner. Plays off man well, plays zone well, and is good at the point of attack as far as with run responsibility too as well. Let's take a look at some of this video and let's break it down a little bit. You see he's playing off here. He's about 7 to 8 yards off. You can tell by where the other guy is located and how these men are located. This is probably going to be some type of zone coverage. Now, what I'm looking at him to have here is a deep third responsibility. And when we say deep third responsibility, we mean that he's going to be protecting this area where he's lined up all the way to the deep third here, which will go from where he's lined up to the end zone, of course. He has that deep third. Now, snap of the play. When the play starts, you're going to notice he has 3 threats in his side. He has 3 receivers over here. So he has to be able to make a play on any of these guys that actually come into his third. As this play goes on, we'll see that the 2 threats that are naturally in front of him are not taking him deep, but what does he do? He's able to come off, make the play on number 3, and get the interception. All right, now we're going to South Carolina. This play right here, bump and run again, press man. All right, now what I liked about this play was, and you'll see, he actually shoots the wrong hand, okay? The guy releases outside, so if the man releases outside, he should be shooting with his inside hand, but he shoots with his outside hand, which is naturally going to lock up his hip. But watch how fast he's able to get those hips around and basically run this guy's route for him. Sit him down, coming back out of there. Look at that. Always, I'm in love with the game. One of the corners that I like a lot, and I think is a natural corner, is a kid by the name of Gerard McCoy out of the University of Tennessee. Unfortunately, McCoy was hurt this whole last season, suffered an injury in a workout, not in a football workout, but not in the game. So he missed this season, but we got some good tape from the year before. One of the things I like about this kid, he's a natural corner. When I say natural corner, very fluid, natural movements, all right? Strong at the point of contact. You see it right there, slamming the guy. He's an impressed man here. Now, if you look at the start of the play and check out the receivers opposite side of him, we got 3 receivers at the top. You see the motion man going over. Typically in this type of situation here, as a DB, we know 3-by-1, a lot of times you're going to get an inside breaking route backside. He stays on the press man position, knows more times than likely that the slant is coming. Let's watch how he plays it. Knocks the ball down. The cool thing about this play is that he was on the receiver's hip the entire time. Never left, never lost the touch or the engagement, as we want to say, and never basically gave up any of his space. Back to you guys in the studio.
All right, thanks to Anthony Dorsett. The breakdown. 2 of these corners on this list. Okay, we got here's Bucky Brooks, top 5, McCoy number 1, Delane number 2, Colton Hood 3, Avion Terrell, and then Brandon Cisse. Nicole, who stands out on that list to you? What are you thinking?
My corner is Colton Hood. Let me tell you something, Bill. I got a chance to speak with him at the Combine. He told me he had a formal interview with the Cowboys, so that got me a little bit excited. I mean, he's a guy who, of course, comes from rich football history. His uncle is Roger Hood, who played 8 seasons in the NFL. But, I mean, just look at the tape. I mean, he's a guy who's elite in man coverage. He can play off. He can play press man. I mean, he can literally do it all. Had one of his best seasons of his career in 2025, allowed a 58% completion rate. So you talk about completion rate. So you talk about a guy who has, a lot of quickness as well. He ran a 4.440 at the Combine. He also had a 10.5-foot broad jump, 40.5-inch vertical. I mean, he's a guy that I really like, Bill.
And these quarterbacks could be in play for the Cowboys at either number 12 or number 20 in the first round. All right, we wrap up the Blitz in just a moment. Flag football coming back to the Star in Frisco and also to the Olympics. Some flag fanatics when we come back.
Closed captioning is brought to you by the Texas Lottery. Dallas Cowboys scratch tickets from the Texas Lottery are here. Play today. To watch more Dallas Cowboys content on your connected TV, download the Cowboys Now app on Amazon Fire, Roku, and Apple TV. The Dallas Cowboys Blitz, presented by Blockchain.com, was brought to you by AT&T. Connecting changes everything. Geico. It feels good to save big. It feels good to Geico. And by Blockchain.com. Invest like your icons with Blockchain.com.
You know, in Texas, football is the currency in terms of how you make sure that your school district is top tier. So 1, it's great that we have football. But 2, to be able to offer flag football to our girls, that's game changing. We know that it is an emerging sport that many girls are interested in. We're just grateful to be able to have the opportunity to provide that for our scholars, to be first in around the region to have flag football for girls.
You know, just to have this opportunity down here in Texas, Dallas, Texas, a hotbed for a lot of amazing, talented athletes. We have amazing scholar athletes that just want an opportunity to showcase their ability as well. So this field, this space allows us to get the same opportunity to our scholars here that have been yearning for so many years, and to also just to develop them both on and off the football field. I just remember growing up that there was some girls that were better than me in elementary and in middle school, and then, you know, as you play high school, you get the same opportunity, but just creating a space for them to come out here and showcase their ability, and the world is watching. We're all excited to see.
I think athletics in general is important, but especially it's important for our girls who have to make sure that they're successful, not only in life, but in college and career, and definitely sometimes in fields that feel male dominated, but they too can compete just as well as their male peers.
Girls flag football coming to the Star in Frisco this spring. And how about flag football? We're just 2 years away. Yes, it's coming to the LA 28 Olympics as well. Nicole Hutchison, we already want your Olympic flag football team.
Are you sure you're ready for this?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do this. I've got Dak Prescott, because why not have one of the most elite, if not the elite, quarterbacks in the NFL right now, Travis Hunter, because of course you need a guy who can be a receiver and a DB, you know, maybe catch an interception. CeeDee Lamb, and I also have Nick Amonwori and Amon-Ra St. Brown to wrap it all up. So of course, a couple of defensive guys who've got great ball skills. Of course, some great elite receivers. I couldn't be too favoritism and show George Pickens, but of course that's mine.
I'll throw George Pickens.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay, and the Cowboys have George Pickens for at least another year. Thanks for joining us here for the Blitz. Who will join him on this Cowboys team? We'll talk about it next week on the Blitz.